Welcome. I'm Julie Thompson, Executive Director of PACTV, and today we're hosting a COVID-19 update for the town of Pembroke. We're hosting these forums every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. Watch in Pembroke on Comcast Channel 15 or online on our streaming channel by visiting pactv.org/live. To ask questions during the forum, please email them to pembrokeinfo@pactv.org. And for the forum replay schedule and additional Pembroke meeting coverage, please visit pactv.org/Pembroke. Sabrina Chilcott, Pembroke's Assistant Town Manager, will moderate the forum and will introduce the participants that are contributing today. Welcome, Sabrina.
Mayo. So as we get started today on this great May 5th tradition, I wanted to just introduce everybody very quickly. Today we're joined by Health Agent Lisa Cullity.
Hi.
Council on Aging Director Gretchen Emmetts.
Good morning.
Executive Director of the Pembroke Housing Authority, John McKeown.
Good morning.
Mindfulness Coach, MaryBeth Sheehan.
Good morning.
And State Representative Josh Cutler. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
How are you?
Great.
Super. It's a
I'm
good
great.
day.
How are you, Sabrina?
Fantastic.
Excellent.
We're really coming into that crunch time in any plan that you execute, whether it's at your home or it's at your business or it's at a government level. We're coming into the last stretch, right? We're all taking a look at what the next 2 weeks are going to bring and how much we're doing behind the scenes on the state level and the local level to look at a May 18th date. And that's very exciting. A lot of people are expressing a lot of positivity and hope and goodwill and really looking forward to what the next phase is going to bring for not only the town, but the state. And that's great news. We are taking a look at some of the data and the statistics. And I did want to ask Lisa, joining us today remotely, what you're on the calls every day. You are interacting with the health nurses every day. As far as the state is concerned, you are looking at their data and the town's data, and you have to balance some of that. And my question specifically to you is, we saw yesterday a state report of a very dramatic drop in cases. And that looked like it was either a good trend or it could just be an outlier, right? Not sure. And then in the town, as you're balancing this for the Pembroke Health Department, the town had been on a nice zero trend for 4 days. And then we saw a rise in cases as the state was reporting the reverse. So the question becomes to you, thank you, sorry, it was such a big buildup.
No worries.
Maven, you're getting information in, it's coming in from all over the state and so many different methods and ways, and they've done a really good job at getting that back out to the local towns. But what is Pembroke and emergency management looking for in that data to actually make decisions? Can you go on a 1 day? Do you look at a trend? Please, can you let us know?
Sure. So you never want to look at 1 day. 1 day's worth of data is not going to represent a trend. What we are going to be looking for is multiple days collectively, because 100 things could factor into a sudden spike. Like we saw, all these cases came in, but we had 2 or 3 days of no cases. Well, it stands to reason more that's a matter of reporting. And it stands to reason more that that's a matter of certain reporting agencies reporting faster than the others. So the idea that we had 5 new cases yesterday is probably highly unlikely. Chances are at least a couple of those cases were floating around for a day or two before being reported. And the factor on the speed of reporting is often very much tied to what lab did it, who did the testing, how fast did they report it to the state, how fast did the state get the data entered. So all those factors will apply into how many new cases we have. But what the governor's looking for, and certainly what we're looking for here in Pembroke, is overwhelmingly consistent data. So in other words, over a course of a week, that the data consistently drops. Over the course of 2 weeks, you see consistent drop. I think it's pretty safe to say when you look at the statewide data, we are coming to the end of our plateau. I'm hoping these drops in cases and numbers of cases continue on. The problem is we're still seeing a lot of hotspots. We now have a second Walmart store with an extreme number of hotspots. This is directly tied to, and the state is actively looking at, stores that are not maintaining social distancing, stores that are not insisting on wearing of masks. stores that are certainly well over the capacity they would be on a normal day, never mind in this post-COVID economy. And the state's looking at that. And from what I can see, the state's looking to take action on that. But for the state as a whole, I would say we're coming to the tail end of the plateau, and we're probably going to see another week or two of consistent drops, which I hope means the governor can start to roll out his plan to start reopening the state on his new projected date.
Thank you. That's probably the best news we could hear, really, is to
I
know
certainly
that.
hope it's true. I'm,
No,
I'm knocking on wood. I'm knocking on wood.
Exactly. And the positive trends we're seeing with people's attitudes and the just the thanks everybody wants to give to the residents in Pembroke for being so responsible and taking care of each other and doing the right things when they're out in public and doing the right things when they're, staying home and communicating electronically and playing electronic games, over, platforms that are virtual. Pembroke really has displayed some amazing rallying power, and it's impressive. And I know that that's a theme that's repeated often in emergency management. Just the want to thank the residents of Pembroke for such a job well done.
Yeah.
And
the vast majority of people are doing all the right things. And that's why I think you're going to see Pembroke consistently below the averages. I mean, two things are helping us, our demographics and being spread out, but certainly that people are doing the right things by and large. Yes, do we have a couple problem spots? Of course we do. Every community is going to have those. The idea of expecting perfection, of course, is out the window. Anyone with kids during COVID knows not to expect that. But again, you're looking for the lion's share, the overall picture, and the overall picture for Pembroke appears to be very good.
That is great news. Thank you. And I wanted to swing over to Gretchen. Gretchen, you participate every day in emergency management meetings. You bring forward the concerns of one of the most vulnerable populations in a health emergency of this type, and that is the concerns of the senior community. And your seniors are connected through the Council on Aging, even in these times where we're out, performing outreach remotely and delivering things and taking calls. So Gretchen, just a quick question. As we check in this week, what kinds of feedback are you getting from seniors this deep into this particular situation? And how are they holding up? How are they faring through this process?
Hi, good morning. I think, my seniors are doing really well. I think that they're ready to come back. That seems to be the typical call. Are you going to be open on the 18th? And I can't say that we are, because I think we're going to be in a different phase than some others because we of our population. But they're ready to come back. They're very happy. I think the sun finally coming out has really made a difference in their mindset, in my mindset, I think in everyone's mindset. And I'm already planning events for the fall along with Susan. So, we're going forward, and we're really looking forward to having everyone back. I'm a hugger, so this is really difficult for me. So just warning you guys that, once this is all over. So this is really difficult because I can't hug anyone but my family, and I hug my family every day, which is nice, but I've just got a lot of hugging in me. And, everyone seems to be pretty evenly keeled. They're getting their food when they need it. And we have masks for when they need it. So, and phone calls. So right now it's really an upbeat. It's no longer as frightening, I don't think, for the seniors.
No, that's great. Can you talk about the masks? I love the clothesline. We had a conversation earlier about the display. It's really, it's clever. It's so helpful. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So people were asking for masks, and I was trying to figure out a way to do it. And all of a sudden I'm just staring out my window, looking at my trees, and I'm like, oh, clothesline. So we went out, my husband, God bless his soul, and we hung the lines, and then on the lines we hung masks. And every day we're having to hang more. At this point, my husband last night, stuffed another 250 bags, I think, worth of masks. And there's 2 masks in each. We have adults and children, and they are free. We ask that you just take 1 bag, though. Don't, take more than you need, because we want to be able to share. But I think we're having given over 400 away. Some of them are handmade, and some of them are the surgical masks.
Thank you. That's a really, really great thing. And if people have the sewing ability and the time at their disposal to create and craft these homemade masks, how can they get them to the Council on Aging?
So I'm here every day, and we always have. If I'm out at my PEMA meeting, we always have someone in the kitchen until 1 o'clock. But I do have on the back ramp in the back of the building, I have a box that you can put the masks in. It's under an awning, so they're safe. And then we'll put them in bags and hang them on the lines, because now we have two lines going every day on a daily basis.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Gretchen. That's terrific. Okay, coming up next, the Housing Authority Director, John McKeown, similar type of an arrangement. This particular emergency declaration for a health emergency also affected your population pretty significantly in the sense that they needed to really exercise some controls that were put in place early on to make sure that everyone stayed as safe as possible, John. And in the past, you've had some great stories and some really smart insights to share. And you've actually mentioned that you have a significant population of what you described as the members of the greatest generation. And the question I really wanted to ask you to bring forward, today to share, how are some of your residents holding up in your community? And what kinds of questions are they asking? How do they feel? And what concerns do they share with you? Can you bring that forward for us?
Yes, I can. And that's a great lead into the population and their nature. The people that I serve and the people that Gretchen served, they both overlap greatly, intersect. I rely on the Council on Aging for many things, and we provide the customers, by and large. I think that you hit the nail on the head, though, when you spoke to the people that we house and care for. They are of that greatest generation. They are all very determined. They've dug right in. It's very Rosie the Riveter-esque. Residents are doing all kinds of things to help other residents. One of my residents here at the Kilcommons community actually reached out to Pembroke, helping Pembroke, where a vast number of manufacturers made cloth masks. So we were able to, through their generosity and her initiative, get and deliver a number of washable, reusable masks to the population here at Kilcommons. And I've seen those clotheslines. They really are. It was a wonderful idea, widely used. I also have to remind anyone, if you do take a mask from there, because Gretchen didn't say this, please leave the clothespin. We're going to run out of clothespins before we run out of masks. But I would say that by and large, Sabrina, the residents have just shown such resolve. They've been terrific. They've really been very helpful to one another, kind and respectful, managing safe distance. Gretchen is a hugger. A lot of my residents they're very convivial, very close and social. They are each other's family, but they've been terrific with it. When you talked about the sun coming out recently, I can really see and feel the next level, that the residents that we do house here, not only have they been doing this hard work for the last month or longer, but they're finding another gear. I can see a little more spring in their step, and it's not just the sun. It's honestly, I believe they see the light at the end of the tunnel. They see that their hard work, which has been their nature for the decades they've spent here, they see that hard work starting to yield the crop, the promise of a very hopeful today and tomorrow. And it's great. It really keeps me going every day. I'm not getting the hugs that Gretchen wants to give out, but I can see the smiles on the residents' faces. No, it's what keeps you going.
To be fair, Gretchen never did say she'd hug any of us.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, just you wait.
Yeah, no, but it's been terrific, and I really feel there's a ground swelling, and I think that today is Cinco de Mayo, and I know that there are other topics to discuss today, but everything's going to dovetail perfectly. I think timing is everything, and our time is now. You know,
That's wonderful.
We have another week or two, but I think that we couldn't be better positioned for a more successful outcome than we are right now.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, John. And to your point, we don't have a reasonable expectation that May 18th brings everything, but we will be so excited for if May 18th brings anything. At this point, if we level set our own expectations, we could have a wonderful opportunity to start making some of those very slow steps forward very soon. And that's part of the positivity of this time. Now, just quickly, I wanted to ask MaryBeth if she would bring forward. Well, I want to back up. I apologize. The town website has a lovely, really a strong set of links and bullets that were all foraged and stolen, basically, from the Pembroke Health Department and the Department of Public Health. So locally and on the state level, the content was extracted and then shared over on the town page. And we're going to add some of those links over to the main page, or to the landing page, excuse me. But the whole idea is a focus on maintaining emotional health and well-being, and taking care of yourself and managing your expectations and reactions during this time, because there are almost all wonderful stories, but we all have to remember that there's someone struggling. Right now, there's someone that's looking for that resource, that's looking for that last bit of energy to get this next 2 weeks, 10 days. There are plenty of folks who just need that extra gas in the tank to get to the distance, right? So MaryBeth, you as a mindfulness coach, talk to people and work with people every day to explore some of those techniques and ways of really focusing and centering and being as positive and mindful as possible for them. Can you explain a little bit about not only how that works, but I'd also ask you if, while talking about that, what do you recommend for people who struggle to find time to take care of themselves while they're homeschooling and working from home?
Sure. I think, definitely when we're heading into this home stretch, I always say to people, just take it day by day. And, don't look at it, what's going to be 2 weeks from now. Look at it, how do I get through today the best way that I can, the best way for my family? And I always encourage parents to include their kids in their activities. So, perfect example, the weather's getting nicer, the sun's out, get outside. You can social distance and still be outside and do activities with your kids. Find something positive, even if it's 1, 2 things, write it down, have it in front of you so that you're constantly referencing it. And really just embrace the fact that you do have this time together and use that.
No, that's brilliant. And that's the thing. I think we may have gotten away from some of the more not traditional, but the older or more basic principles and
Yeah.
fundamentals as we sped forward. And now suddenly we're playing board games and gardening and teaching our kids to cook
Not
again.
a bad thing.
I
It's
was
not
just
a
going
bad
to
thing.
say, I was just going to say, so a lot of those things you can actually incorporate into your busy life. Is that right?
Absolutely. I have 3 children. My kids are 6, 5, and 4. And
Wow.
for the first time, I have a garden in my yard now. We built garden beds. We let the kids do it. We got them little tools, and we've been outside every day, and my kids are watching their garden grow, and it's become a great thing for my family.
And it's funny when we moved away from that, right? When it's for the longest time, I don't even know that we checked it or clocked it, but
Right.
people were moving more electronically, more virtually. And now that you're forced into that kind of a platform or environment, we're seeing some returns to basics and, simplistic joys of actually just getting through the day. I mean,
Absolutely.
someone reported doing laundry as a lesson in their homeschooling program.
Absolutely.
So I guess you
Absolutely.
just have to find it where you can find it. Is that accurate? Or
Yeah, use those little moments to teach your kids. My kids learned bed making because mom was making their bed every day when they were going to school, but now they're making their beds. So
Life skills.
life skills can come back to life a little bit and kids can do more. And I also think they like taking that on. This is something that's really fun for them and they feel a sense of independence with it. And for a mom, even if you can get 5 minutes to yourself to just go out, sit outside and to recenter yourself. I always tell people when you're recentering, just grab at that one piece of gratitude, that one piece of positivity that's going to get you forward through the rest of the day. And it's okay to take those 5 minutes to yourself.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. So we have the state representative with us today. Thank you, Josh, for coming in. I know you're very busy, but I had a couple of simple questions, really. There's a lot of work that you guys have been doing. It's just that you can't necessarily do it face to face and in public. And there are some new developments that are all positive in nature that bring forward some of the best of the state legislature and, quite frankly, fit the needs of your local communities. Can you talk a little bit about some of those?
Sure. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for great work. MaryBeth, it's good to hear that. I had, as a side note, I can say took my kids to Tubbs Meadow on Sunday, and the
Yes.
highlight of our day was we got to see a turtle crossing across the path.
Nice.
Pretty cool. So small things like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, lots going on from a legislative point of view. Today, Tuesday, we have our first virtual formal session. Got delayed a little bit, but it's happening today. So I'll be actually sitting here in my office doing voting later this afternoon for the first time in Massachusetts history, which will be kind of exciting. So there's that. On a more local note, wanted to update folks. I know here in Pembroke, there's an issue that we're confronting that many other towns are as well, having to do with adopting our FEMA flood maps. And because of the deadline that FEMA has given us, we're sort of in a bit of a quandary because we're, have a town meeting to adopt our maps by a certain date, which at this point may not be, practical or safe or feasible. And so we're working to, we've just filed legislation to allow local boards of selectmen to adopt FEMA flood maps as an alternative during the state of emergency to avoid forcing us to have a town meeting to do that. And thanks to Sabrina and to all of you guys, folks at Town Hall for bringing this issue to our attention. I can tell you that once again, Pembroke's sort of ahead of the game. Once we had worked with Town Council to draft this legislation, get it filed, I subsequently heard from a number of other communities that are in basically the same boat. And we're so thankful that Pembroke had taken the lead on this issue because they weren't sure how they were going to handle it. And so that was good to hear. The legislation was filed, and we've already obviously tried to alert folks to this so that they'll be ready and hope to have it get some prompt consideration. So that's going on a local level. That's maybe not the most exciting thing, but for folks, local folks who are paying flood insurance rates, it's important. It's important for the community that we find a way to address that. Wanted to mention, because it's come up, the governor, obviously extended the deadline, but now their lieutenant governor has a reopening advisory panel that she is leading. Many folks may have heard about that. I've had a lot of local businesses and other folks reach out to me expressing their opinions about, what manner we should open and what businesses should be open sooner and so forth. And I would encourage everyone to submit their comments or feedback directly to the panel. They have set up a portal online on mass.gov where you can go in and there's a short questionnaire and you can kind of fill out, talking about your business or your perspective and why, what feedback you want to share with the reopening panel. So I would encourage everyone to do that. The more voices that they hear, especially voices from, small businesses such as ours, as we have here, in the South Shore, I think is important. If you go to mass.gov and just put in a reopening advisory panel in the search bar, it'll come right up. And it's a fairly short form that you can fill out and submit your views. So I would just encourage everyone to do that. So that's some of the things going on. I know we wanted to talk about. We have some great news going on. An event happening today, in fact, that we can thank our health agent for. So I'll break the news, and Lisa can maybe fill us in. We have the Board of Selectmen. Thankful to the Board of Selectmen approved what's called the Pembroke Hope Fund, an idea that was brought forward by Gretchen, our Council on Aging Director, and the Board of Selectmen have been great about approving that. And so we have established this fund where residents can apply for funding, residents in need, not just seniors, any age, and we invite folks to donate who are able. Today we're going to be having a special Hope tree that's going to be debuted. I got a little bit of a preview. I can tell you it's pretty cool looking, I think, and it's going to be pretty neat. And I hope folks, I think we can tune in tonight to see it. I'm going to stop here and let Lisa fill us in because she's been really the one that's been shepherding this and spearheading this. And so looking forward to seeing this and all the great efforts of her work. So Lisa, can I turn it over to Lisa and have her
Please, that would be great.
fill us in?
Go, Lisa.
So actually, I want to give credit where credit's due. The Hope Tree was actually an idea that was started by Christmas Decor. A gentleman named Dick Fico, who's the owner of the company, had approached me and said, this is something our company wants to do. We want to give people something hopeful, something happy, something fun to consider at times like this, and we want to be supportive of towns. So I worked alongside of Dick, and he said, well, where in town could we do this? The Hope Tree is already live in Marshfield. They have their own Hope Tree. And we took a look at a couple sites in Pembroke, and we decided the town green was definitely the place for this. After considering all the trees that were available, Dick came up with an idea that was a little bit different than is being done in some other towns, which I'm really excited about because I thought his idea was great. So I have facilitated working with Sue Roach to make the town green accessible and the power that he would need accessible. We know that the town green is going to be used for some other fun and exciting events in the very near future. But the Hope Tree is really cool, and it's a light show, for lack of a better word, on trees that everyone's going to be able to see. It will be here for weeks. There's no need to rush out tonight to see it live. And in fact, we want to encourage people that tonight, when it goes live at 8:30, is not a great time to come to the town green, because if too many people gather, we're going to have to postpone. We don't want to do that. We do encourage, however, everyone to tune in if they want to watch the lighting live. They can turn into Pembroke News. They're going to stream it live on Pembroke News on Facebook. And I've shared links all over the place. There's a Facebook page for Hope Tree and the Hope Fund, also on Facebook. That's up on Pembroke Connect and many other media platforms to go looking for it. And I know many people have shared it, including Josh Cutler. So you're going to be able to watch live as the trees turn on, but the trees are going to be on every night. And this is really important because I know a lot of people are looking for fun things to do with their kids. And we do want people to go see the trees live, but we do want to remind people social distancing and safety has to be first. Obviously, there's not a lot of parking immediately adjacent to the town green. So if you do get out of your car, stay away from other families. If you do want to drive by, we want to acknowledge everyone. Please drive slow through the center of Pembroke because these trees will be in motion. So there's going to be some sort of a visual thing that's going to go along with that. So please don't drive recklessly through the center of town. Speed limit's 25 anyway to begin with, so please stay slow. But if people do want to drive by slower and stay in their cars where they're safe to observe these trees, we're encouraging everyone to pull off of Center Street at the entrance to the library. It's flanked by little stone walls. It's right next to the Council on Aging. Pull off there. As you drive up, you can take a left and drive in front of the community center. That is a one-way road, and that's an excellent road if you have a load of kids in your car and you want to drive by more slowly. Pull up there, then drive by nice and slow in front of the community center. You can observe the Hope trees and all the decorations, and then exit out by what would be the Hatch Building and or Town Hall and the police department, whichever way you decide to go to leave the community center area. But tons of thanks to Christmas Decor, and I want to also thank It's a Party, who donated the sign that's going to be up there. I want to thank the Recreation Department and everyone, the Board of Selectmen, for creating the Hope Fund. Gretchen, who we kind of kicked around this idea forever of what are we going to call this fund and how do we make it. I want to thank Dick for a generous donation and everyone else who's donated to the Hope Fund. And that's going to be available, and that's specifically to help residents in Pembroke. As the representative alluded, it is for residents of Pembroke. It is not restricted to seniors. It is restricted to anyone who's been adversely affected by COVID. There's a short application process. But everyone, I hope, tunes in tonight. Get your Cinco de Mayo. I know a lot of restaurants locally are doing a bunch of Cinco de Mayo takeout. The alumni, a bunch of others are doing it as well. Get your take home. Go home, flick on your iPad, your smart TV, your computer, and watch this amazing decoration come to life.
Thank you, Lisa. That is really fantastic. And I love the idea.
I know that.
I know. And I love the idea of the local area businesses coming to the Cinco de Mayo
Yep.
platform just to sort of push out that moment, because right now they're also part of the group that are struggling. And
Yep.
when we shop locally and we invest locally, we just pay back into our own community over and over. And I really want to thank you for taking that time and working with Dick to get that done, because that's going to be something that will be very smart in the
I
center,
think I'm
and
more
that will
excited
make
than the
people
kids.
happy.
Let's
I
just be
know,
honest.
it's
I'm
such
more
a great
excited than
thing.
the kids are.
No,
I'm
it's
thrilled to see this come
fantastic. It's
live.
absolutely fantastic. Gretchen, before we ask Julie about questions, I wanted to ask you about the Hope Fund, because
Mhm.
it's been referenced so many times. There is a spot right on the website. We added a tab when you log on to the main page, and we're trying to rename it, but right now it's a bulletin, because it's a bulletin to everyone who can come on and click that to be directly linked to the donation page. There's no navigation anymore. You just have to click the bulletin, and up comes the panel explaining where your money goes. Touch it, and you go straight to the page that's on the screen right now. Can you tell me a little bit about what kind of feedback you've had from both donors and people who are applying?
So we've had amazing feedback from the residents, the community, and people are dropping checks off here at the Council on Aging that may not want to try and navigate it. And then we're on a daily basis, we're having people donate right through to that link. I think that link has been shared several times on Facebook and Instagram. So it is out there, and there is now a short application that you can check on at some point. I think you may know better, Sabrina, where it's located, but they can go
Online.
on if they're in need of assistance. And we have had a
No
couple
worries.
of
It's right.
calls. More. Go
No,
ahead.
you go right ahead. Sorry.
Oh, so we have had a couple of people, but it's been more food based. So we were able to take care of that situation here. And I think that will still be ongoing. Although I do want to say that I did hear the Firehouse Pantry is opening this week. So that's a real good thing for
Mhm.
residents. And also in the line of hope, we have every Monday now we have the Singing Trooper on PACTV on channel 13 at 11 for the rest of the month, and we have MaryBeth is going to be doing 4 shows for us too. Now, MaryBeth, you may be able to better say what your shows will entail, but those will be to be determined what channel and what time, but we'll get that out along with all the other information. And just having the hope, not just the fun, but hope in general is, I think, boistering everyone up. So, Mary Beth, can you tell us a little bit about your show?
Please.
Sure, absolutely. So we're going to run 4 episodes on mindfulness and meditation. And it's just an introduction to different meditations that you can do, different techniques on breathing that can help calm any anxiety that you may have. And I will guide you through meditations similar to what I do at I've done at the senior center, and what I teach out and about, what I teach in schools. It'll just be for you to reference, and you can do activities with your kids. Uh, I'll do some examples on how to introduce mindfulness and meditation to your kids, with your kids. You can do it as a family. So there'll be 4 different meditations that you can use.
Well, and Mary Beth, if I can jump in for a second, I wasn't necessarily the most meditative person a while ago, but
Sure.
I have some children who are athletes, and one of the things that they learned along the way is not only is meditative time great for your mental health and your feelings of well-being mentally and emotionally, but some folks
Yeah.
are reporting a lot of sleep disruptions in this time period. For
Yeah.
some reason, maybe they're not getting the physicality, the action they used to get in their day-to-day routine. They're
Sure.
struggling to fall asleep. And some of the and I don't want to speak out of turn. Sometimes you actually feel a physical sense of well-being. Is that right?
Yes, it will absolutely help with sleep. It What it does is, I call it a mental hygiene. And so it is your body's way to reflect and to sort of let go of anything that we no longer need. So that sort of gives our mind a way to release it. And therefore, our mind's not racing through thoughts all night long.
No, that's great. So we've discussed mental hygiene. Lisa, do you want to come back to washing hands before we ask Julie if she has questions?
Yeah, and the funny thing is, everyone presumes that because someone does a certain thing for a living, that they're necessarily on top of it. And while I'm very on the hands hygiene and washing my hands are actually literally cracked on the back of them because I've washed them so much. But I was surprised at how much, those little commercials they have on the TV and on the radio and whatnot, the calm and they take a moment away. I started forcing myself to stop with those and kind of not go crazy running around cleaning or thinking or doing whatever, to give my own self a moment. And it actually really does help. And it kind of surprised me. And I didn't realize, you sometimes don't realize when you're operating at such a fever pitch, and taking a moment can really be helpful. But yeah, the washing of your hands and keeping your own home as sanitary as you can, and not having people come in and out of it as to quote unquote contaminate your own home environment. That's the best thing you can do. Wash your surfaces, wash your hands, keep everything clean and orderly. Maybe you're doing laundry a little more frequently, and all those things will help.
And meditate, because then your mental hygiene will be checked. I mean, but it was such a clever thing, MaryBeth. Really well done, because you have people who not only are their minds racing because they're reacting, they're working, they're planning, they're taking, they're caregivers to children. Maybe they can't be as involved with their parents, their elderly relatives as they would ordinarily be. So all these things are weighing on people's minds, and to be able to take that step back and actually, and frankly, for some of us, like the amateur meditators, having a guided meditation can be invaluable. And I did want to take a minute and take a breath and find out what kinds of questions we have coming in today on the show. Julie? Maybe.
I'd like
There's our
to.
moment.
We're in charge now.
I would like to.
Well, I was going to say.
Hi, I'd
Go
like to
ahead.
bring up the town website for one sec. If you go to the main web
Thank you.
page and you click on the COVID-19 updates, and then if you click on this seal right in the middle of the page, if you go down a little bit, and over here, resources to boost well-being during pandemic, there's some excellent resources on this page for everything you're talking about right now as far as well-being and all kinds of different things. I strongly suggest you go visit it, because there's a ton of really great resources here. But aside from that, there's been a couple questions about how does your immune system affect your ability to fight off anything? Now, we know we wear masks in the public, and we wash our hands, and we do everything we can to physically protect ourselves from the virus, but our bodies themselves can be a great harbinger of fighting. And if you have a good, strong immune system, that helps you fight things off. So Lisa or MaryBeth, can you speak to that whole subject of keeping yourself healthy and therefore having a better chance of fighting anything off? Why don't we start with Lisa?
Wait.
Okay, so I'm going to leave the mind things for MaryBeth, because I bet I can predict where she's going to go with that. But as far as your physical health, obviously, when you are going to eat healthy, and when you're going to get a proper amount of sleep, those are the biggest things you can do to boost your own personal immune system. Obviously, everyone's immune system is different. Everyone is in a different status of health. We're not all the same. But everything you can do, and I hate to say it because I'm not a fan, but I've been religiously eating my broccoli, eating my salads, eating the things I really don't want to eat. But nonetheless, I understand the importance they bring to the table. I personally will freely admit I am very much struggling with the sleep part of it. I know I am almost 100% to blame by not detaching from everything COVID long enough before my bedtime. I'm starting to try to carve out, and this is really hard for me to do, especially when you consider the role I do for the town. I'm starting to carve out, an hour here and an hour there in my day where I am putting this all down. I have to. I've said from the beginning, this is a marathon, not a sprint. But here we are in this marathon, and I'm going to liken it to, we are at Heartbreak Hill. We are almost there, but in some ways being almost there, it's almost harder. than the beginning, because we're fatigued, we're tired, and I am no different. I am fatigued, I am tired, I'm mentally tired, I am physically tired. I am tired of it. I want to throw my hands up in the air, but you can't do that. So I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying to eat the healthy things. I'm trying to get the sleep when I can't sleep at night. If I can catch a cat nap in the middle of the day because I'm home for lunch, I'm doing that. I'm doing what I have to do to try to make up the equivalent to give my body what it physically needs to do the things I need to do on behalf of my own family and on behalf of the town. Because if I'm not well and I get sick, that's really going to not be useful for anyone. And I think people need to think about that, especially the moms out there. I know there's a lot of moms out there that are probably at the end of their rope, and they need to remember they've got to take care of themselves. If you do not take care of yourselves, you can't provide care to someone else.
True. And MaryBeth, how would you respond to this?
So I would say be very aware of your stress levels, and because stress is something that can cause physical symptoms on our body. And so, watch out on how stressed you're feeling, and be able to rein yourself back in by taking those times to maybe go for a walk or get outside, get some fresh air, exchange that oxygen in your body and get that energy moving.
Excellent, thank you. We had someone on a different forum the other day who did talk about how you sometimes if you just stop and think about what you're doing, you'll find that your shoulders are up here and your hands might be clenched, and you have stress in your body that you're not even aware of, which is why it's a really good idea once in a while to just shake it out and breathe.
Take it out.
And speaking of breathing and breathing in wonderful things, Josh, I hear that there might be some news about something you're going to tell us.
Yes. Can we get the breaking news thing on the bottom?
Sure.
So the governor has just come out. Obviously, Mother's Day is right around the corner. Hi, Mom. Happy Mother's Day. And
Hi,
the
Mom.
governor just today has released this morning some updated guidelines for businesses to allow some flexibility with especially regards to florists and other retail establishments. And I just want to share that with you. So he is updating his essential services guide to allow a limited number of employees in florist shops and other retail businesses to re-enter the store to fulfill and ship orders taken over the phone and online. Not to reopen to the public, mind you, but to allow a limited number of employees back into the store so they can fulfill online and phone orders with appropriate facial covering, social distancing guidelines still in place. So that was just announced just a few moments ago. There's a new order
Wow.
on mass.gov with an update to the essential business list. So some good news for mothers and good news for local florists. And for more details, please check out the mass.gov website. So there you go. Some good breaking news.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
That's great.
Sabrina,
I think-
I just had
go
one
ahead,
more.
Julie.
Actually, just one more comment. This
ahead.
whole show today has been wonderful. It's very forward-thinking, and it's very uplifting, and it's very, come on, guys, we can do this. 2 more weeks, we can do this. And I would like to just end this by saying thank you so much, Sabrina, and all of your crew that comes all the time to do this, because you not only we date stamp this, right? It's the 5th. We say what day this is being filmed because everything changes every day. But every day, the information you're bringing is pertinent, and it's useful, and it's thought-provoking, and it's really cheerleading. And I just want to thank you so much. And those were all the questions that we had for today. Thank you, Sabrina.
Julie, thank you so much. But it's not
Sabrina.
of really dedicated professionals that we have in there at that town hall behind that locked door who are working every day, and they don't have another vehicle to communicate with the public. So being able to take that message from all of these people who work relentlessly, and I mean well beyond the average work day. And I appreciate that there's a lot of hay to be made with, picking on governments in general. But I will tell you, there have been amazing players who have risen to levels I haven't seen before, even in the private sector. So I've never been prouder. And it's a great opportunity to be able to take forward what is the DPW doing? What is the police department doing? What are the clericals doing? What is the collector's office doing? What is the clerk doing? I mean, there's a lot before every single one of these teams. And they have executed beyond the capacity that they were really expected to execute. And creative solutions have been forged. I mean, Gretchen and John, the collector's office and the way they're bringing in payments, the building department and the drops for building applications. There has been some very forward thinking, and every one of those people deserves the credit of that their hard work has earned them. They didn't, come by this lightly. They worked very hard to achieve a really interesting but new level and method of service. So thank you. That was very kind. And I think everyone else on the panel today will say it's part of what you do. And it's nice to be able to tell people. And this is a great option. So just very quickly, as we get ready to close it down today on this most possible upbeat note. And thank you, Josh, by the way, because now we know what we're talking about at 10 o'clock in case we didn't already have a full plate for the 10 o'clock meeting. I did want to thank every single one of you and wish you the best possible Cinco de Mayo and hopeful week ahead. Anyone have anything really you want to weigh in at the very end here, or do you want to just leave it there?
Leave it on the high note.
All right, leave it on the high note. There we go.
We're leaving it on the high note.
Leave it
Thank
up,
you
baby.
all. You've been terrific. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you all. Thank you
Bye.
so much,
Julie?
Sabrina. Thank you. And we will see Sabrina and her crew again on Thursday at 9 o'clock, as we do every Tuesday and Thursday. We bring you the COVID-19 update from the town of Pembroke. This is Julie Thompson from PACTV wishing you a good day.